Hey, how's it going? It's Keith Townsend, Principal, the CTO Advisor, and we are continuing the road trip in more sponsored content by Netapp. This time we're in Seattle, and if we're in Seattle, that means that we have to stop by AWS. And with that, I have with me Adrian DeLuca, Head of Partner Solutions.
That's right.
So speaking of partner solutions, AWS and Netapp have worked together for years. However, there's a special announcement. What's that announcement?
Yeah, we've had a relationship since 2012.
Wow.
Keith. But this is extra special for the audience, right? We are announcing FSX for Netapp Ontap. So that brings all the goodness around functionality, capability of the Ontap file system to a managed service. And we're the first and only cloud service provider to do that.
So what does that mean practically? If I'm sitting in the C-suite, or if I'm an enterprise architect, and I'm looking at the last 80% of my workloads that needs to be moved to the private or to the public cloud, how does Ontap and AWS help me get that business outcome?
That's a great question. You know, Keith, we've seen thousands of migrations of enterprise workloads coming into the cloud. And what we continue to hear is as we bring those mission critical systems, the administrators, the architects want to continue to use the capabilities that they've invested in for so many years from Ontap. And more than that, they want to be able to have an integrated experience using the same APIs, using the same command line interfaces to manage that. And this really brings together the best of those two worlds for those enterprise migrations, really reduces a lot of the friction.
So let me get this right. Ontap APIs available to me in AWS. So if I have e-discovery tools, data management tools, my processes around managing my data on premises, those tools are available to me in AWS via Ontap.
It's the full experience, Keith. So, if you're using the Netapp APIs or the CLIs to be able to do things like SnapMirror or Flex clones, you can use those in the same way as you use all your AWS CLI and API calls.
So that's the way we, quote unquote, use to manage things in the data center. How does Ontap help me when I'm talking about building modern applications for the cloud?
Yeah, it's, again, a great question. What we continue to see is as organizations are bringing those traditional enterprise applications in, they don't want to just run them in the same way. Right? A really good example is, a lot of enterprise applications, for every production copy, you've got 3 or 4 test development copies.
I still have my landscape that I have to manage.
I bet you do, right? And being able to use the cost benefits and the efficiency benefits of the cloud, being able to spin those down when they're not necessarily required, is a big, big benefit. But from a management experience, being able to have the same infrastructure as code, to be able to spin those up, do the testing, and then spin them down is a huge productivity saving.
So let me make sure I get this right, because you guys have worked with different providers in different ways. This is all available to me via my AWS console. So I can access the Ontap API using my regular AWS credentials. No secondary account that I have to spin up with Netapp, etc. This is just native AWS.
Correct. I think what makes this different, Keith, is while we've been able to have Ontap running on the AWS cloud, it really is the first and only integrated management experience. So that means that we use the AWS security model. We use all of the logging features with services like CloudWatch and CloudTrail, all sitting in the background, running the service. So administrators don't have to worry about ever, version management or patching or having to maintain the availability. That's something that you naturally get from the cloud and something that you will now get with this service.
So we're going to have a second conversation. I'm going to bring in my buddy Nick Howell, and we're going to probe you a little bit. We're going to get a little uncomfortable and talk about things like, do I have to, what's the learning curve to learn Ontap if I'm a new developer? If I have specific tools on premises, how do I use those tools? We'll have that in a more technical video. But if you want to find out more about Ontap in AWS, you can follow the link below. If you want to find out more about the CTO Advisor, you can follow me on the web, thectoadvisor.com. If I didn't ask Adrian the right questions and you have more questions for him, you can simply DM me on Twitter at CTO Advisor. DMs are open. Talk to you next CTO Dose.